only had one cup of coffee. I know. Hello, everyone. My name is Cindy Sutcliffe. I'm a member of the Rotary, but I used to be a member of this prestigious. Yeah. I'm also assistant governor this year. So hopefully I'll do a better job of introducing Kathy than I did last year, introducing Laura, and I put her to that facility. So Kathy Flamson is from the Rotary Club of Calistoga, District 130. She joined the Rotary Club of Calistoga in 2003 and served as president in 2006. Kathy has served in many outages of service in the club. On the district level, she served as assistant governor for 2 years, district training assembly chairperson, district group study exchange chairperson, district Rotary chairperson. And one of her favorite opportunities was being co-chairman of the Calistoga Rotary Club's 90th birthday celebration in 2014. Kathy received her bachelor's degree in business administration. She shares an empty nest with her husband, past district governor Jim. And Kathy is a retired senator for Calistoga and recent regional director for Region 16 of the City Clerks Association in California. She is addicted to knitting and painting. Her favorite medium is watercolor. Her favorite pastime is being with her family, which includes her 2 sons, their beautiful wives, and 4 amazing grandchildren. And she shamelessly spoils her golden doodle, Sophia. Kathy and Jim are multiple Paul Harris Fellows, Foundation benefactors, Press Society members, Paul Harris Society members, and major donors fellows. Please welcome District Governor Kathy.
Sunrise. We had a great meeting last night with the board, so I know all of your secrets, so right here. I really appreciate being here. This is like being back home, and I want to thank my sister Janet for being here to help you out. She's an introvert, and I know that Sorry. This is like being home. We have made many trips here as a family with our family up here, and we know the road well. And if I were you, I'd buy stock in Dramamine because there are more RCAS Flamsons coming up here to speak. One of the exciting things about being district governor is that if I choose, I can pick a theme for this year together. And my theme, as Cindy said, I'm addicted to knitting. It's been kind of my therapy since I was 10, so it's been more than 2 years. But it's kind of a metaphor for life as well. So my theme is close-knit community. We have a very long and narrow district. Our district goes from the Oregon border down to the end of Sonoma County, and we have Lake County and Napa County, and 6 counties, Del Norte, Humboldt, and Mendocino. So we're very long and very narrow, and we are very diverse. There aren't too many other districts that have not only the ocean, but volcanoes. I think maybe Hawaii and Alaska as a few. But we are culturally diverse, and I'm hoping to get us working together. You know, in this day and age, we're a little bit divided by many things, and I think Rotary shouldn't be one of them. And I want to bring us together. You have so many gifts, and we learned so much about them last night at the meeting that I want you to share them with people. We have a wonderful mentoring program that I think we all could use. And that's just to name one. You have many, many wonderful programs. But one of the tasks I have given to President AJ is to find someone in your club that exemplifies bringing the club together. Someone that is a connector, someone that brings close-knit values and that idea of working together. here in Arcata and in Rotary and in the district. So I have the privilege of announcing who our close-knit Rotarian is for the Rotary Club of Arcata Sunrise. And that man, I'm not even going to tell you what he does because you know far more than I do what he does. And it's not going to be a surprise because he's here all the time. He keeps you on the straight and narrow. He makes sure you get all your T's crossed and I's dotted. It's your wonderful Howard.
From now on, wonderful Howard.
And you have this beautiful major award. This is a major award. This is so cool. Okay. The other thing that I have done is I've created a pin. I've created a pin, and it's actually 2 knitting needles and a ball of yarn with a rotary. But if you look at it from like in the back of the room, it kind of looks like an X-Wing fighter. So it might be a Star Wars fighter.
Awesome, Howard. For Captain Howard.
I wanted to talk a little bit about a couple things. At least it didn't look like, the last picture looked like Mom. It was kind of scary. So. Thank you for the nice pictures. A couple things I want to remind you about. We have a Rotary International Convention. That's where everybody in the world comes together. And that's going to be in Honolulu. It's going to be May 6th through 10th. And if you want to go, and I hope you do, please make your, did I say May? June, I'm sorry. I was looking at the wrong line.
May would have been great.
Let me get my right focus right. June 6th through 10th. Thank you for checking me. It's a small venue, so if you want to go, get your accommodations now, if you plan to. And then if you decide you can't make it, you can always cancel it. Honolulu typically can hold about 25,000, and our RI conventions typically bring in 35,000. So that math doesn't work well if you're looking for a place to stay. The other thing I wanted to mention is our district conference. This was the May date. It's the weekend of May 15th, and it's in Fortuna at the River Lodge. We have events planned for Friday evening and Saturday, and then Sunday is going to be service day. We're going to have a fun day Sunday, where we'll be doing things. It might be a river walk. It might be. I have some things that I'm trying to get going, so I won't give away anything because I don't have it nailed down just yet. But we'll be doing service in the area or doing things on Sunday morning so that those that can stay will have fun things to do. So those are the 2 dates. I only messed up one. I wanted to talk a little bit about our theme this year from President Mark Maloney. President Mark is from Alabama. He's from Decatur, Alabama, and he has a great theme. It is Rotary Connects the World. And it really fits nicely with what we're doing in the district as far as connections. So you'll see this little, if I'm not in your way, I apologize if I'm in your way. This little theme, there are 4 figures kind of dancing around. And I look at those figures, at first I thought it was jacks. It kind of reminded me when I was a kid playing jacks. But there are 4 figures around the world, connecting around the world. And President Mark would like us to attach one word to each of those figures. And the first word he wants us to think about when we look at this is educate. He wants us to educate not only ourselves about Rotary, but the town, the people you're around, and the people you come in contact. Educate them about Rotary and what Rotary is doing. We know Rotary is changing a lot, but we're trying to move forward and to be relevant, and so educating is very, very important. And I'll talk a little bit more more about educate in a minute. The second word is inspire. He wants us to inspire our members to do good in the world. And I don't know how many of you got to go to the Hamburg convention, but there was a gentleman who spoke. His name is Chris Wells. He's a Rotaractor, and we know what Rotaract is up in Humboldt County. You have two very vibrant Rotaract clubs there. The members of the clubs are ages 18 to 30. But he was a Rotaractor, and he was from England. I can't remember the town. But he did a wonderful discussion about what Rotary meant to him. And it touched me on many, many levels about how he came to be a Rotaractor and what he wanted to do. And one of the things he said that really struck me is that he said we need to be, in not so many words, he said we need to be agents of do-goodery. And I thought, that's a great thing. We need to have a cape that says, I'm an agent of do-goodery. So when we're out there doing good, they know what we're doing. So we want to inspire to do good in the world. And I think we do that. You guys have so many wonderful projects that you do good things in the town and across the world. The third little figure, the word would be motivate. And I really want you to think about motivating yourselves and remembering what motivated you to join Rotary. What was the spark that got you to join? What is the spark that keeps you going? And in many instances, the spark that got you here isn't the spark that keeps you going. But find that motivation inside of you that keeps you here. And really cherish that. And you know, if you're in Rotary long enough, it's going to change again because our approach to life changes so often that our motivation changes as well. Well, what might have started as just coming in to be with friends ends up being a lifelong service to others. So remember what your motivation was. And the fourth word is connect. And that's really right there, connect. Rotary connects the world. So that's something that we all want to do is connect. That's what keeps us going. That's what makes this such a vibrant club, is your connection. So those are the four words that President Mark wants us to remember. Educate, inspire, motivate, and connect. So that's plays quite a big part of this. I have four more connects I want to talk about that kind of take us in a different direction. What we hear a lot about is we need to connect Rotary by growing Rotary. And the first thing people think is, well, membership. And I think that's true and that's important, but I think we can grow Rotary in a different way. We can grow Rotary by your projects, starting new projects, making the new connections. Grow Rotary by letting people know who you are, and that is in the connection. So we want to grow Rotary. The other thing that President Mark said that was very important to me was make Rotary family friendly. We a lot of times do things where we have to choose between family and Rotary, and that never works well. So whatever we do, we want to make sure that our families can join us. We have what's coming up the 24th of October to celebrate World Polio Day, Pints for Polio, which is wonderful. And it sounds like just an adult beverage thing, but we have clubs that are doing root beer, Pints for Polio. So there you go. You can bring the family in and have a pint of root beer. So make it family friendly so we all can enjoy what we have. The other thing, when you're a family-friendly organization, you really show how to be a philanthropist to the next generation. And I know we had a father who was a Kiwanian, and we got drugged to all kinds of things. And it was fun. You know, once you get there, after you put on your good clothes, it was fun. We got to play with our friends, and I really saw what the community did for everybody. So, family-friendly. The third connect is kind of exciting, and I don't know how this is going to work out, but Rotary has got a collaboration with Toastmasters, and I know that they're starting to create leadership development tools for us. And this is particularly, I think, important for people who are starting a career, or someone like me who is a lifelong learner. I got my bachelor's degree, certainly, but I got my bachelor's degree after we paid off our son's college education. And I decided it was my turn to start the national debt over again. So I got my bachelor's degree well into my 50s, but it was something that I wanted to do, something that I felt like I had missed. Because I got my associate's degree, and then life got in the way, and there was out there. So education to me is one of the most important things we can give ourselves. It is the way we can move forward in any way we go. So Rotary and Toastmasters are starting to collaborate and get some leadership training opportunities for our Rotarians. The other thing that Rotary has right now that's exciting is if you go on Rotary.org, and I know that's everybody's favorite website, but if you find the Learning Center, they have modules there that you can take right now. They're free. Some of them are maybe 15, 20 minutes long. Some of them are longer, depending on what you want. But they have all sorts of ways to learn about Rotary and maybe about some future things you'd like to get involved in. And there's nothing better than sitting down with your slippers on and taking a class. I think that's a fun way to learn. So take advantage of the Learning Center because it's there for us. The last Connect, which is the fourth, is also exciting for me. The UN is turning 75 this year. And Rotary was a huge part in starting the UN. When World War II was starting to happen and the world leaders wanted to know how can we stop this from happening again, they got together and they asked Rotary to help them. So Rotary has been there right along with all of the world leaders. We were one of the few non-governmental organizations that were there to help form the UN. And I'm sure that the Rotary members from New York were instrumental in getting the world headquarters in New York for the United Nations. But it actually started in San Francisco at a conference, but they brought it to the world stage in New York. So Rotary has been right there with them. And we achieved the Millennium Development Goals of 2000 with the UN. And some of those goals will sound very, very familiar to you. They were global eradication of polio, cultural exchanges, education, literacy, water and sanitation, and promotion of peace conferences. So those are our 6 areas of focus if you think about it. So we have been working with the UN for a long time to achieve what the world really wants to achieve. So as the celebration of Rotary comes, please celebrate along with them. They have a day every year where they celebrate Rotary at the UN. They honor Rotary this year on November 9th. A couple years ago, well, it's probably more than a couple now, my mind has kind of blocked it out, but I think it was like 7 or 8 years ago, District 5130 was honored because of Kathy and Frank Mayhew's Adopt a Village program. So we, little 5130 that just is kind of hanging out to the coast, got honored at the UN. So we do a lot here, and I'm very pleased with the Rotary and the UN and their connection. So that's the 4 kind of theme of our Rotary logo this year. Rotary connects the world. It's just 4 little words, but they're very, very, very powerful. So I hope you embrace that this year as you travel on your Rotary journey through Arcata and Humboldt County and the world. You're doing things all over the place. So remember that we are connected. I wanted to talk a little bit about myself, and I'm not going to let Janet say anything. As I said, as Cindy said, I joined Rotary in 2003, but I was a Rotarian in 1976 when Jim joined. I love my Rotarian friends. We don't have many of us left. Lucky for me, I was one of the young ones. Jim, I think, was 26 when he joined. But we were not allowed in Rotary. Women were not allowed. But we had our own purpose, and we did a lot for the club. So we would swoop in and do what we needed to do and then leave. But Rotarians were very important to me. They made me feel like I was part of the group. They just kind of brought me along. They mentored me, I guess is the word that I want to say. We stopped having Rotarians in 1986 when women joined and they had male partners, and they were called Rotary Andes, and no one wanted to be called the Rotary Andes, so we weren't Rotary Andes. I think that's fair. As I said, my father wasn't a Rotarian, he was a Kiwanian, so he was a great philanthropist and a volunteer fireman who was always working for the community. But if you look back further, I'm really, in my story, our grandparents, our grandfathers weren't Rotarians. They were both illiterate Italian immigrants. And they were illiterate not because they weren't smart. They were illiterate because they didn't have opportunity. And I think about that today, and what we as Rotarians do, we give people like our grandfathers opportunities to read, opportunities to thrive, opportunities to be things they never thought they could be. I often wonder, our grandfather lived with us for a long time, and I often wonder what he would have been like if he could read. I mean, he could fix anything. If you give him duct tape, he would have fixed the world. So I'm thinking, what could he have done if he'd have had that engineer's mind trained a little more? And I'm proud that Rotary does that today with people who don't have those opportunities. We give them that opportunity. I wasn't your normal Rotarian when I started. The woman that asked me to join knew that I was a compulsive volunteer, but I didn't own a business. I wasn't a manager. And I don't mean to degrade what I did because it was very important, and we all know secretaries rule the world. But I was a secretary. But she knew that I was a compulsive volunteer. So she knew I wouldn't say no. And my thinking here is, I think when we look for Rotarians, we need to maybe not look at the job, but I hope you look at the heart. To me, a Rotarian has a heart of a 5-year-old. You know what's right, you know when it's not fair, and you're going to get it done right, and you want people to be happy, you want people to get what they need. So I think we need to look at the hearts of our Rotarians, and find those 5-year-old hearts, and bring them into joining, because I think we're kind of missing that part sometimes. We get focused on job and career, and yeah, look at the heart. The heart's what's important. And my last thought, because I know we have a few more things to do today, my last thought is I want to talk a little bit about Rotary as a tangible organization. And this kind of ties it all together. In Rotary, we know how many members we have. We've been saying for many, many years it's 1.2 million. It's a little less, but we know how many members we have. We know how much money we give to the foundation. And by the way, thank you very much. This is an amazing club with foundation giving. I completely call heresy. Woo! I'm very proud of you. Thank you. Anyways, but those are tangibles. Those are numbers. Those are things we know. And they're great benchmarks. Don't get me wrong. They're very important benchmarks. But I think we need to look beyond that. I don't think any of us joined Rotary to be a number. We joined Rotary for the intangibles, for the heart, for what we do, the lives we've changed. We have youth exchange students that will never be the same. You're going to go home and your parents are going to go, who's that? Our son went to Brazil as an exchange student, and he came back, and quite frankly, he was a different kid. At that point, we knew we just rented him because he was gone, and he didn't want to stay home after that. It changed his world. So think about those things that we do. You have projects all over the world that are changing lives. You are giving different lives to people that you'll never meet, in places that you're never going to go, and doing things that you never see, but you're doing that. So I want you to think about the intangible that you're doing now, the things that are changing everybody around you. And I think that's where we miss probably being the best we can be, is that we're so focused on getting things done and the numbers that we're looking ahead. What are we going to do next? We forget to look behind us to see what we've done. So I want you to make a good conscious effort to look behind you, see what you've done. Be proud of that. That's your story. That is your inspiration. That's your motivation. So make sure that when you're thinking about Rotary, make sure you look behind you. And see that Kate behind you saying you're an agent of do-goodery, because you are. You're doing so much for so many. So I wanted to thank you for everything. I was so impressed last night with everything you do. In fact, I typically take notes at meetings, and this time I had to write on the back of the page. You guys are awesome. But please take a moment to appreciate who you are, what you've done. This is an astounding club. And I want you to share share who you are with the rest of the district. Don't hide up here in Arcata. You can't do that now. At least people in Napa know what you do, so we're going to tell. You do great things. Typically now when I'm done, I do take questions, not personal, but I do take questions. I wanted to let you know, and I don't have it right in front of me, yesterday we got some unfortunate news about polio. We had a major outbreak of vaccine-derived polio in the Philippines. So the World Health Organization is setting sail to eradicate that. And what that is when we give the drops, it's live virus, and it goes through the child and through their gut. And a lot of times kids are compromised in their gut, dysentery or whatever, and the sewer systems are bad. That's why sanitation is so important. And then children who haven't been vaccinated get polio from the vaccine. They're working on a cure for that at CDC, I believe it is, or wherever they do that vaccine thing. They're trying to get a vaccine that isn't live, so that it is as effective as a live vaccine, but it won't give you vaccine-derived polio. The other thing that is discouraging this year, but we're getting there, is last year we had, I think, 38 cases total. This year we had 12 cases in Pakistan, 16 cases in Pakistan.
Afghanistan.
Okay, I always think those two. Afghanistan, and we had 62, thank you, my numbers guy over here. 62 cases in Afghanistan, Pakistan. We had more than 70 cases this year is my point. So it's doubled. And that we know is because they're not playing well with others and letting us into the country and giving the vaccine. We did get in, and we were able to vaccinate quite a few just recently, I believe. But did you say Pakistan? Is that what? So Pakistan let us in. But it's not a safe place to be right now. So the people that are vaccinating are true heroes today. They are going places where they can get killed, and they have been killed. So that was the bad news about polio. The good news, and I am kind of a Pollyanna, I have to look at the half full, is Nigeria has been declared polio-free for 3 years. So in a few more months, yay! To manage with polio. So we're getting there. I wanted to share something. Jim mentioned something that it reminded me. When we were in Atlanta at the Atlanta World Convention, we got to go to the CDC. And they took us through, I don't know, I would call it the war room. The whole wall, I would say it was that big, was a world map. And you could see lights going on, and that's where things were happening. Not necessarily polio, it might have been Ebola, it might have been the measles. I mean, it could have been anything, but the lights were flashing. And they are there ready, watching to find out what they can do and how they can send the troops out to get those countries and those diseases under control. And one of the things that we need to be aware of beyond polio eradication is that because of what we do with Rotary, with polio, how Rotary has approached it, and the new protocols that we have to get to countries quickly, we are now preventing major outbreaks of major diseases because we can get there so quickly, because we have those connections in those countries where these things happen. So the side effect of our polio campaign is that the world is going to be a healthier place because the CDC and the World Health Organization can get there quicker. And they know what to do, and they know how to send the forces out to get these diseases under control. The other thing I wanted to say about the CDC, we were there in mass as Rotarians. I think there were probably 50 of us. And as we walked by, we had to walk by the cafeteria. And there were probably, 15 young CDC employees sitting there. And they looked up and they said, "You're Rotarians." And we said, "Yes." And they said, "Thank you. Thank you for what you do." It was so wonderful to see that. That was great. They appreciate Rotary. They know who we are. So that was a Rotary moment for me to see those people. Thanks. Anyway, if you have questions, I'd love to answer them. I know the answer, and I've got my numbers guy here so he can help me out. Any questions?
Are there any new clubs on the horizon in this?
Yes, we are trying to start a new club in Santa Rosa, and it's called South Park. It's the
Kenny will be the president.
That's the area of Santa Rosa, they call it South Park. And it's a very underserved area, low income, and I think it would be great if we could manage to start a club there. I'm thinking it's going to be an evening club, but yeah, that's one that we have in the works.
A former member of ours is president currently of the E-Club,
Yeah?
and it's actually pretty global. Can an E-Club be a member, can District 5130 have an E-Club?
Sure.
Where people, is that another way we could?
That's another way we can do it. One of my classmates is the president of the San Jose E-Club, and I don't know how many members he has, but it's, it could be 1,000. And they meet online. They do projects, and I'm not quite sure, I don't remember how he said they did it, but whether they do projects in the area where there are more people, they all kind of gather. Obviously, not everybody can go. If you've got a member in New Hampshire, they're not going to come to California to do a project, but you can be a member anywhere in the world of the E-Club. Yes?
You gave us really good news last night, saying that you're resurrecting Lila.
Yes, thank you.
And then can you say more about that?
I will. Ryla, we had to take a year off, so we've got a chairperson. It is, God bless her, Eve Yeomans from the Fort Bragg Club is going to be our chairperson, and Ryla will start.
Can you tell people what RILA is? Some people don't know that.
Thank you. RILA is Rotary Youth Leadership Awards. It's a 5-day course that teaches usually there's juniors or seniors, leadership skills. And it's going to be at Westminster Woods, which is in the Redwoods in Sonoma County. And they learn things like ethics and how to be a leader and how to manage bullying and just, things that are important for us today. They're in groups. I think last year we had 100, maybe it was more like 80. And they work together in groups. They manage each other. They have a curriculum that teaches them leadership skills. And then hopefully they come back and help the world. The thing I like the most about RILA is we don't focus on those academics that get A's. These are kids that are leaders, and that doesn't always mean you're going to get an A. So these are kids that really have that leadership skill that can be nurtured and valued and grown. So to me, it's one of the most important things.
One problem we have with RILA is timing. Working in youth exchange, I discovered that we had as much as a month difference in school startups and finishing, and we've had a number of years here that RILA happens before we get out of school. We're prevented from attending. And I hate to say it, but we feel like it's maybe a little bit Santa Rosa centric, where they're going to say.
Well, that's why I'm so thrilled that Eve's here. She checked schools, and we're hoping that nobody is conflicted with this, but it's starting June 14th. So I don't know.
That's the last week of high school at RCAS.
We're on K-11 this year. Really don't care out there.
RCAS South.
Is that right?
Oh, they're going to get up.
It's early.
Yes, I know that Eve called around to find a good place.
Good.
I know, that was the first thing, is we need to make sure that everybody can go. Thank you for bringing that up, because RILA is very important. Anything else? Good questions? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kathy.
Great. Nobody had to sing.
Your words of inspiration really help us connect with what's going on at the district level and Rotary and national, and really inspired us to kind of really think about what we're doing and why we're doing what we do here in our community. So thank you very much for your visit and for your words.